On Sunday morning the church looked like a palace. White lights, big speakers, cameras, a shiny altar with gold trim. People clapped and shouted, "Papa! Papa!" when Pastor Gideon walked in. He smiled wide. His suit was bright. His shoes looked like mirrors. He liked two things more than any other thing: loud praise and large donations. One man always gave the biggest gift. His name was Chief Duro. He was tall, dark, rich, and quiet. He wore clean white clothes and heavy bracelets. When he came, ushers ran. The band played a special tune. He walked to the front and dropped thick envelopes. Sometimes he wired money before service. Sometimes he gave cars. The church built a new media center because of him. They bought land because of him. People whispered, "God has blessed Chief Duro." Pastor Gideon loved when Chief Duro came. He would say, "Church, celebrate my in-law." People would laugh because he always joked that Chief should join the family. But it was not a joke. Pastor Gideon had only one child, a quiet girl named Amaka. She was soft, kind, and smart. She liked small things: books, music, cooking. She did not like loud life. She did not like cameras. She did not like men who flashed money. Still, the pastor watched Chief Duro and thought, "This is the kind of man my child must marry." Respect. Power. Safety. He told himself it was love. But his heart was tied to the gifts. One day after service, Chief Duro met the family. He bowed to Pastor. He greeted Mama Ruth, the pastor's wife. He smiled at Amaka. His teeth were very white. His eyes were too sharp. Amaka felt a cold wind inside her chest. She could not say why. She only wanted to leave. That night, in the big parsonage, Pastor Gideon spoke to his wife. "This is God's plan," he said. "Look at how the door has opened. Our ministry will reach the nations." Mama Ruth was unsure. "Have you checked his roots?" she asked. "Do you know his people?" Pastor waved his hand. "Do not fear. His fruit is clear. Look at the giving." All week, the church posted photos, Chief and Pastor shaking hands, the new generator he bought, the new bus for evangelism. Members typed "glory" and "more grace." Amaka kept quiet. She prayed, "God, show me truth." The more she prayed, the heavier she felt. On Saturday, Pastor called a family meeting. He spoke soft but strong. "Amaka, you know I love you. A father sees far. Chief Duro is a good man. He will cover you. He will cover the work of God." Amaka tried to speak. "Daddy, I don't feel peace." Pastor's eyes hardened, then became sweet again. "Peace will follow obedience," he said. "Do not spoil what God is doing." At the end he added one line that sat like a stone: "We will start marriage classes next week." What will Amaka see in those classes that will not let her sleep? Marriage classes looked fine on the outside. A soft room. A counselor with gentle hands. Tea in small cups. Chief Duro came every time. He brought flowers, cakes, and gifts. He answered questions with perfect words. He called Pastor Sir and Mama Ruth Ma. He called Amaka my queen. People loved it. Cameras loved it. Pastor loved it. But in the small things, the mask dropped. When Amaka forgot her pen, Chief did not pass his own. He said, "Be responsible." When she said she wanted to keep working after marriage, he smiled and said, "We will see." When she laughed too loud, he touched her elbow and whispered, "Not in public. I don't like that." It sounded small. It felt big. One night Chief drove Amaka home from class. He took a long road through a quiet area. He stopped near a gate with no name. Men in black opened it for him and looked inside the car. Amaka's stomach turned. "Where is this?" she asked. He smiled small. "My place of meeting," he said. "Business." He told her to wait. He went in for 10 minutes. When he returned, a smell followed him. It smelled like burnt herbs and iron. He opened the windows and said, "Air is good for the body." Amaka's hands shook. She did not know why. At home, she told Mama Ruth what she felt. Mema hugged her. "I will speak to your father," she said. But when she tried, Pastor said, "Do not bring fear into this house. We are too close to breakthrough. The devil hates our progress." 2 weeks later, Chief gave the church 2 jeeps. The church posted again, "Grace upon grace." Pastor stood on the altar and said, "When a man gives, it is proof he knows God." The crowd shouted. Amaka looked at the floor. The introduction day came. Drums. Food. Laughter. Chiefs and elders. Pastor's friends. Photos of bundles of money on trays. Chief wore red beads and a white cloth. He placed a heavy gold chain on Amaka's neck. The weight pulled her down. She smiled for the camera and felt like crying. That night she had a dream. She was in a room with no windows. A drum beat slow. A voice said, "Choose." She woke up shaking. Her phone showed a message from Chief, "My queen, tomorrow we fast for our future. No food, no water, no questions." Her throat went dry. She typed, erased, typed again, then sent, "Okay." The next day she almost collapsed. Chief smiled and said, "Good. Now your spirit is soft." Later she found out he ate breakfast while she fasted. She said nothing. She wrote in her small book, "He likes control. He likes power. He hides his steps." Wedding day came fast like rain in Hamatan. The church was full. Pastors from other cities came. Cameras everywhere. Chief put a thick ring on her finger. Pastor prayed long and loud. "What God has joined," the crowd answered, "no man can put asunder." That night, when the house was quiet, Chief locked 3 doors behind them. What is inside the room he never wants her to see? The first week of marriage was a sweet lie. Breakfast in bed. Trips to places with water and lights. Gifts that shone. But the second week showed the truth. Chief took Amaka's main phone for safety. He gave her a small phone with only 3 numbers, his, the cook's, the driver's. He told the staff, "No visitor without my word." He smiled when he said it, but his eyes were like a wall. The house had one door she never saw open. It had a red cloth pinned above it. Chief said, "That is my prayer room." He did not let anyone enter. At night, when the house was asleep, Amaka sometimes heard a low drum. She smelled that same burnt iron smell. Once she heard a goat cry. She pressed the pillow over her ears and prayed, "God, protect me." One afternoon, Chief left in a hurry. He forgot to lock the red cloth door. Amaka's heart beat hard. She stood there for a long time, then pushed the door. Inside, the air was cold. There were strange symbols drawn with white chalk. There were pots with dark liquid. On a small table lay a photo of her wedding day with her face cut out. Her chest tightened. Her legs shook. She stepped back and bumped a calabash. It rolled and hit the wall. She ran to the room and sat on the floor. She cried without sound. When she could breathe, she called Mama Ruth on the small phone. "Mummy, he is not a normal man," she said. "He is not just a rich man. There is something else. I saw a place." Mama Ruth's voice was small. "Tell your father," she said. They went to Pastor's house that night. Amaka spoke and shook. Mama Ruth held her hand. Pastor listened. He nodded slowly. Then he sighed long and said, "My daughter, your eyes are too active. You must not judge. Men in power have private rooms. Besides, he has carried this ministry for 3 years. Our station, our land, our growth, God used him." "Daddy, please," Amaka said. "I am afraid." Pastor's mouth became straight. "You will go back to your husband. Keep your home. Pray. Do not bring shame to the work." He called Chief and said, "Please take your wife. She is young." On the drive home, Chief was silent. At the gate he told the driver to leave. Inside, he closed the door and turned to Amaka. He smiled, but his eyes had no smile. "So you entered my room," he said. His voice was soft. He walked close. "There is one rule in this house. Obey me. If you fail, I will teach you." He grabbed her wrist hard. He let go. He told her to kneel. He made her swear, hand on a black book she had never seen, that she would not speak again. That night she could not sleep. She hid her small book in the lining of a dress. She whispered, "God, show me a way out." In the morning, Chief announced a Thanksgiving at church for their marriage. He gave the church a new sound system and a check for the orphanage. Cameras flashed. Pastor cried on stage and said, "This is a man who loves God." Amaka stood by him and felt very far away. When Amaka tries to run, who will block the door? Amaka made a plan. It was simple. On Thursday, when Chief went to meetings, she would take cash from the pantry, take a small bag, take the small phone, and go to her aunt in Surulere. From there she would travel to Enugu to stay with Grandma. She told no one. She waited for Thursday like a farmer waits for rain. Thursday came. Chief left. The house became quiet. Amaka put money in her shoe. She put the small phone in her bra. She put the bag under her wrapper and walked slowly toward the back door like she was going to the garden. She prayed with each step. At the door, she saw Hugo, the guard. He used to be friendly. He used to greet with 2 hands. Now he stood straight with a small radio in his ear. He looked at her bag and said, "Madam, Olga said you should rest today." Amaka smiled. "I am going to buy pepper." Hugo shook his head. "Olga said no market. We will buy." She turned to the front door. Martha, the cook, stood there with a tray. Her eyes were kind but afraid. She said, "Madam, please sit. Olga will be angry with me." Amaka felt the world closing. She walked back to her room and cried in the bathroom so the camera in the living room would not see her. That evening Chief returned. He called her to the sitting room. Pastor and Mama Ruth were there. So was the church's admin officer. Chief told a smooth story about anxiety and adjustment. Pastor took Amaka's hand and said, "You must learn submission." He prayed for her. He did not ask about her fear. He did not ask about the red door. After they left, Chief spoke in a low voice. "If you try to run again, it will not end well. Your father will be ashamed. Your mother will cry. Your name will be in blogs. Respect me. And never, ever touch my room." The next weeks were slow pain. Chief controlled who she saw, where she went, what she ate. He put a tracker in her shoe. He blocked her bank app. He told the doctor to inject her with vitamins that made her sleepy. He told the driver to take the long road so she would not know the map. Meanwhile, Pastor grew bigger. New branches. New radio spots. New suits. He spoke about breaking poverty and seed of honor. He told the church, "Our family is blessed. My son-in-law is a pillar." The members clapped. Some did not clap. They had eyes. They had ears. But fear is heavy in a big church. Amaka kept her mind by writing in her small book at night. She wrote, "I am not mad. I saw what I saw. God sees me." She also wrote names of staff who were kind: Martha. Hugo, before he changed. The cleaner, Ifema. The old driver, Baba Isiaka. She gave them bread. She whispered, "Thank you." She still believed in small kindness. One night, the drum behind the red door was loud and fast. The smell was strong. Amaka pressed her ear to the wall and heard voices. A man laughed low. Then she heard Chief say her name. Her blood ran cold. She climbed into her bathroom and tried the small window. It was sealed with metal. The next morning, Chief said, "We travel tonight. Wear black. No questions." She felt sick. She texted one word to Mama Ruth, "Help." No answer came. Where is Chief taking her, and why must she wear black? The car left Lekki after midnight. The driver was not Baba Isiaka. He was a new man with a hard face. Amaka sat in the back seat with Chief. 2 men sat in the 3rd row. Chief told the driver, "No music." The night was silent except for the road. They drove through a part of town she did not know. Old warehouses. Empty lots. A river smell. They stopped near a compound with a broken fence. A drum beat from inside. The same smell. The same fear. Chief turned to Amaka and spoke like a teacher. "We must seal our union," he said. "Power must be fed. You will not scream. If you do, no one will hear you." He gave a sign. The men tied a cloth around her mouth. They pulled her arms behind her and tied them. She struggled. He smiled. Shish, they lifted her. They carried her toward a dark door. Just then, a phone rang. Not theirs. From the road. A police siren blipped once, short and sharp, like a cough. Headlights touched the wall. The men froze. Chief whispered, "Move." They dropped her in the SUV trunk and shut it. The lid closed on her face. It smelled of rubber and old oil. The car started. It rolled slowly, then faster. A marker kicked. The cloth on her mouth made her breath hot and wet. Her heart beat like a drum. On the road, a checkpoint came into view. 3 policemen with bright vests stood under a yellow street light. One waved the car to stop. The driver slowed, then tried to roll past. The lead officer frowned and hit the boot with his hand. Something inside moved and thumped back, a marker's heel. The officer's eyes narrowed. He signaled, "Open your trunk." The driver laughed. "Ogre, we are late for a flight." The officer stepped to the side and put his hand near his radio. "Open your trunk." The driver sped up. "Follow," the officer shouted. Lights came alive. A siren wailed. The SUV jumped forward. The checkpoint car swung into the road. 2 bikes joined. The chase began. In the trunk, a marker felt the speed. She kicked again. She prayed 3 words over and over, "God, save me." The car turned hard and threw her to the side. She hit a metal hook. It cut the rope on her wrist a little. She rubbed against it again and again until one hand came free. She pulled the cloth from her mouth and gasped air. She looked for a lever. She found a small glow stick. She broke it. Green light filled the space like weak hope. Sirens grew louder. Tires screamed. A loud bang. The SUV skidded and hit a low barrier. The world tilted. The trunk lid popped a little. A marker pushed with all her strength. Will she get the trunk open before the men reach her? The SUV staggered like a drunk man. The driver fought the wheel. Chief shouted, "Keep going." The men in the back cursed. The siren cried behind them like a hungry baby. A marker pushed the lid and felt a crack. She pushed again with her back and her knees. It opened 1 inch. Cold air kissed her face. A bright police bike flashed to the side of the SUV. The rider aimed at the tire. The driver swerved. The bike fell, slid, and the rider rolled to his feet. The second bike shot forward and clipped the bumper. The SUV shook. The trunk popped open 2 inches more. A marker shoved her fingers into the gap. Pain sang up her arm. She screamed and heaved. The lid lifted enough for her to see the night. A voice shouted from outside, "Are you inside? Can you hear me?" It was the first officer from the checkpoint. His car pulled up close behind. He leaned out of the window, one hand on the frame, the other holding a flashlight. He shouted again, "Madam, are you there?" A marker cried, "Yes." The wind stole most of her voice. The officer talked to his driver without looking away. "Hold steady." He stood on the door frame, reached forward with the flashlight, and jammed it between the trunk lid and the latch. "Use it for leverage," he yelled. The flashlight wedged the gap. A marker pulled. The lid lifted more. A hand reached from the police car, long and dark, and grabbed the edge of the trunk. The 2 cars kissed and scraped. Sparks flew low like angry fireflies. The SUV swerved again. A police pickup now blocked the front. The SUV braked, turned left, hit a pile of wood, and stopped crooked. Doors flew open. Men ran. Chief jumped out and sprinted toward a side path. The officer who had helped the trunk shouted, "Stay down." He drew his weapon, but he did not shoot. He ran toward Chief with 2 more officers. A marker crawled out of the trunk on shaking legs. A woman police sergeant caught her and wrapped a jacket around her. "You are safe," the sergeant said. "Breathe." A marker's teeth chattered. Her hands were raw and bleeding. The sergeant cut the remaining rope, held her up, and led her to the side. "Your name?" she asked. "A marker," she whispered. On the dirt by the SUV, one of the men lay with handcuffs on his wrists. He spat and cursed. Another tried to run and slipped. The first officer tackled Chief near the path. They fell, rolled, and the officer came up on top. He shouted, "You are under arrest." The checkpoint team called backup and an ambulance. The night filled with blue and red light. Neighbors opened gates and peeped. Some filmed. The woman sergeant gave Amaka water. "Do you have family to call?" she asked. Amaka looked at the small phone. She thought of Mama Ruth. She thought of Pastor. Her body shook. "Please call my mother," she said. She gave the number. The sergeant dialed. Mama Ruth answered with a sleepy voice. She became fully awake in 2 seconds. "Where are you?" "We are coming," she said. She cut the call and shook Pastor's arm. "Get up. Your daughter is in danger." Pastor looked annoyed for half a breath, then afraid. They dressed fast. They drove. At the scene, the officers put Chief and the 2 men in the pickup. The first officer spoke to the camera of a neighbor, calm and clear. "We stopped a suspicious vehicle. We rescued a woman from the trunk. We will investigate fully. No one is above the law." When Pastor arrives at the station, will he protect his daughter or his image? The police station was bright and cold. A fan turned slow. A TV on the wall showed the checkpoint road. Someone had posted a short clip already. The title said, "Woman rescued from SUV trunk at night." Comments poured in like rain. Pastor Gideon walked in, chest out, eyes scanning. He hugged Amaka lightly, then pulled back and looked around to see who was watching. He saw phones. He saw a reporter. He cleared his throat and fixed his tie. "Officer, I am Pastor Gideon," he said. "Thank you for your service. We will take my daughter now. We will handle family matters at home." The first officer, whose name was Inspector Tunde, stood straight. "Sir, this is not only family. This is crime. We will take statements. We will check your son-in-law's car. We will check his house." Pastor smiled a cold smile. "Officer," the young get excited. "Please do not blow things." He put a white envelope on the table and slid it forward with 2 fingers. Inspector Tunde did not touch it. He looked at Pastor's hand, then at his face. His eyes were slow and steady. "Sir, remove your envelope. This is a station, not your church office." The room went quiet. Phones recorded air. Pastor's jaw moved once. He forced a laugh. "No problem, officer. No problem." He put the envelope back inside his jacket. He turned to Amaka. "My daughter, come. We will speak at home." Amaka did not stand. She said, with a small voice that still cut the air, "Daddy, I was in the trunk." He blinked. "Let us handle it." She shook her head. "You did not listen when I begged you. These officers saved me. Please let them do their work." Mama Ruth looked at Pastor. Her eyes said, "Let her speak." Inspector Tunde took statements. Amaka told her story in simple words, from the red door to the rope to the chase. The sergeant wrote fast. Chief sat in a small room and said nothing. A lawyer arrived for him. He demanded bail. The DPO said, "Not tonight." At dawn, the police raided Chief's house with a warrant. Cameras followed. The red cloth room opened. They found chalk marks, pots, photos, black books, strange masks, animal bones. They found a notebook with names and dates. Some names had red dots. The TV showed it all. The city gasped. They also found bank papers. Big transfers to the church. Special gifts to Pastor Gideon. Not to the church account. To him. The reporter read the amounts and the dates. People online started to ask hard questions. What did the pastor know? Why did he ignore his daughter? Why money to his personal account? By afternoon, the station was full of noise. Members of the church gathered outside, praying and crying. Some shouted at cameras, "It is a lie." Others stood quiet and shook their heads. Inside, officers moved like water. The anti-corruption unit arrived. They asked Pastor to follow them for questioning. He tried to smile. He said, "I am a man of God." The unit head said, "And we are people of law." He asked again, firm. Pastor looked at Mama Ruth. She looked at the floor. He looked at Amaka. She did not look away. He followed them. By evening, news channels ran the headline, Chief Juro arrested for ritual crimes, police question Pastor Gideon for financial crimes and obstruction. The church gates were closed. The big sign outside looked smaller. Amaka sat in a quiet room at the station with Mema Ruth and Inspector Tunde. She asked a small question that was very big, will I ever be safe? The inspector said, we will put you under protection for now. After that, you will choose your own walls. But you will not be alone. When the case goes to court, who will stand with truth, and who will run? Court days are long. Papers. Waiting. Quiet prayers. Loud whispers. Chief's lawyers tried many tricks. They said the room was for art. They said the pots were old culture. They said the trunk was a mistake. But the videos, the raid, the checkpoint chase, the green glow stick in the trunk, the notebook with names, truth stood tall. Witnesses came. The new driver. The man who sold drums. A neighbor who heard goats at midnight. The sergeant. Inspector Tunde. Even Martha the cook spoke. Her voice shook, but she said, Madam Amaka is a good woman. She was always afraid. The judge listened. The court wrote. The anti-corruption unit showed the bank trail. They showed the dates of big gifts. They matched them to posts on the church page. They showed pastors' private transfers. The judge asked Pastor one question, simple and hard. When your daughter cried to you, why did you not check? Pastor's mouth trembled. He said, I was blind. I loved money. I covered sin with scripture. The courtroom hummed. Judgment came slow like sunrise, then clear like noon. Chief Juro was sentenced for kidnapping, attempted murder, and other crimes. Some of his men too. The judge ordered the strange house to be sealed and made into a place that teaches young people about danger signs and safe help. Pastor Gideon was convicted for money laundering and obstruction. He cried. Mema Ruth cried. Amaka cried. But the tears were different. After court, Amaka did not go back to the parsonage or the big house. She moved to a small place with plants and light. She put a strong lock on the door. She chose her own color for the walls. She kept the small book, now full. She started a small group with the sergeant and a social worker. They met women who were afraid. They listened. They helped with small money, safe places, and legal steps. They called it Open Door. The church did not die. The church changed. Members gathered in a smaller hall. They sang softer. They prayed truer. They made rules for money. They formed a board. They posted full accounts online. They helped the poor without cameras. They asked God for mercy. A new pastor came. One evening, Inspector Tunde visited Amaka's small place with his wife and children. They ate jollof and laughed. Later, when the house was quiet, he stood on the balcony with Amaka. He said, Your voice saved you. It will save others. Do not stop talking. She nodded. I won't, she said. She looked at the city lights and felt both sad and free. After he left, she sat at her table and wrote a last line in the small book. Love is not for sale. Faith is not for sale. A father must choose his child before his fame. She closed the book. She slept without fear. Weeks later, the checkpoint team got an award. The sergeant raised it and said, We only did our job. She hugged Amaka after the event and whispered, Keep your door open for those who need it. Amaka said, Always. Life became normal in a new way. Not shiny. Not loud. Good. In the morning, sun touched her plant leaves. In the night, the street dogs barked at nothing. When she passed an altar with a big sign someday, she did not hate. She walked on. If you watch this video to here, hit the subscription button so you won't miss our next captivating story.